Hello and welcome to Football on 5. We're with you all the way till May for all the highs and lows of the EFL. Tonight, hitting the back of the net, it's Caroline Barker, and missing from the penalty spot is sadly Mickey Gray. We start our championship action with two teams who haven't quite hit the heights this season. Middlesbrough, under the new management of Tony Pulis, of course, up against an improving Fulham. A win here key for both to close in on the top six. Your commentator, Paul Walker.
Borough coming into this with 3 wins from their last 4 league games. Victories over Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton and Preston. But, Tony Pulis still assessing what he's got at his disposal. He says he simply can't go knocking on the chairman's door asking him to spend more money. And look at this for a run from Traore. It's absolutely brilliant. Do Borough have something on the end of it? They don't. That's a real shame. Goodness me. This was absolutely brilliant. A searing run. Leaves several Fulham players in its wake. Swung in by Downing towards Ayala. Right where Ayala would have wanted it. Well, they're wanting another corner, but only a goal kick has been given. Fredericks onto Ojo. Careless. And it's Howson who brings it away. He'll have a go. Oh, Bettinelli was scrambling to his right. Not the cleanest of connections from Johnny Howson. Here's Pearson. Roll through to Sessegnon. Over it comes. Headed towards goal. It's a soft one from Ojo. No real power on it to trouble Darren Randolph. Howson, through it goes, and Justin is through one-on-one with Bettinelli, and misses! Best chance of the game by some distance. How on earth has Rudy Justed not scored? Here's Justed for Middlesbrough, puts it in a dangerous area. And Bettinelli gets good distance on the punch, but it's Traore. Lifted into Braithwaite. Oh, that's going to be a penalty, is it? Well, I thought that was a nailed-on penalty. Callas, with what looked to me like a clear push on Braithwaite to prevent him from bringing that ball under control. Well, that's a penalty, isn't it? He's pushed to the floor. He is prevented from getting to that ball by Callas, who is a very, very lucky man. Rui Font is going to have a pop here. It's Downing for Middlesbrough. Sombalonga chasing it down with Tim Ream. Sombalonga finding Braithwaite. Through the legs of Adoy. He's in here, Braithwaite! And he's pulled it wrong side of the post. No, it's a good chance, this. Nice play from Braithwaite. Couldn't cut it back across goal enough. But grazes the side netting. Fredericks galloping forward from right back. Hunted down by Traore. McDonald back out wide to Fredericks. Nice move this. And Traore with an excellent challenge. It is a Fulham corner. It's gone short. Nobody watched Norwood. Middlesbrough switched off there. There's Callas. It's Callas. Side netting. Well, the one player that Middlesbrough fans would not want to see on the score sheet is Thomas Callas, one of their former players. Clayton nudged through towards Sombalonga. This is the chance! Off the bar, Sombalonga again. Can he make it count? No, he can't. Well, if he's not going to score, Middlesbrough never will. It's a great run, terrific ball through. He does everything right. Off the bar, and as it comes back off the woodwork, he can't turn it home. Here's Adoy for Fulham. This one might not finish level yet. Font. Cabano. Laid back for Norwood. Cabano picks it up. Middlesbrough throwing bodies on the line. A penalty's been given. Fulham have a penalty in stoppage time. Well, Middlesbrough perhaps should have had a penalty kick of their own in this game, but Jeff Eltringham has pointed to the spot. Well, I'm not so sure, but Fulham have the opportunity to win the game with what surely would be the last kick of the game. It's Norwood, and Fulham surely have won this at the Riverside. Oliver Norwood goes and celebrates with the jubilant Fulham supporters. A game that looked destined to finish goalless, but this is a huge win for Fulham, who will go above Middlesbrough in the Championship table.
To get beat like that last minute, or in injury time a minute to go, it's not a reflection on the game today. And Fulham are a good side, a good footballing team, but they never caused us many problems today.
We show great spirit. We are fighting to the end of the game. At the end of the last 15 minutes, we start to dominate clearly during the game, created some chances. At the end, they missed one chance. We scored a goal. And we finished the game with a clean sheet.
With referees and obviously being a manager for a long time, one thing you accept that they'll make mistakes. What you can accept is the fact that they actually affect results, and that's what he's done today. And when they do that, then that's not good enough.
Before we look at the controversial moments of the game, let's talk about Fulham overall, because they were 17th in mid-November. They sit tonight 1 point off the playoff places.
Well, it was a slow start from them. I think everybody knew that, Colin, but I think eventually now they've got themselves into top form, playing some nice football. Although today I thought it was a difficult performance from them. They really had to grind that result out, and yes, they got a little bit of luck at the end of the football game, but I think apart from that, it's momentum, and they've certainly got that in abundance right now. 13
points out of the last 15, but I like what they're doing away from home as well. You talk about grinding it out. I mean, that went away at Cardiff as well. It's well earned.
No, absolutely. And they're starting to get it right. I think we all expected them to be there or thereabouts come the end of the season with the football that they play. Scoring goals now, keeping clean sheets, hard to beat. Yeah. And like we said about today's performance, it's not about playing great football. It's about really working hard to win those games.
It was a tale of two penalties. Let's start with the one that wasn't given.
Yeah, well, this is obviously in the Middlesbrough area here. And it's Braithwaite. He gets himself turned, and Callas just pushes him to the ground. Now, for me, this is a stonewall penalty. If you just see the two players come together here, watch the push. Now, the referee is right on the spot there. He has to give that as a penalty because, I mean, you've seen it so many times there. It's a push to the ground. He's got to get the whistle to his mouth. Yeah, you get chucked out of a nightclub on a Saturday night for that. Let's have a look at the one that was given then. Yeah, well, this one again, I know we've seen it a few times now, but it's very late on in the game, obviously. But you see Grant Ledbetter goes across and he just reaches his left foot out to Norwood. And Norwood's, he's not going to stay on his feet. If he feels any contact there, he's going to ground. The referee looks at that and he just blows straight away and gives that penalty decision very late on in the game. And what we see after this is a great finish, and there's no coming back from that. And we talk about a grinding out a result. Well, that was what that was today. Great to see Ollie Norwood playing so well from a Northern Ireland point of view. On the way, Gary Ryott's return to St Andrews, and a goal of the day contender from Ipswich Town's Mercurial, Bersant Salina. Welcome back. What a few weeks it's been for Derby County and Gary Ryott. His team started the day second top as he visited his old team, who in perfect symmetry, Caroline, was second bottom.
Yeah, not a bad month for Rowett. He's been linked to nearly every job. Mickey's hairdresser and others. Manager of the month too, but a new 3.5-year deal has pretty much silenced any suitors. He also got Player of the Month for Scott Carson, only conceded 1 goal in December. Life also getting better for Steve Cottrell too. Couple of wins, named the same team for the 4th game in a row. And a good start for Birmingham. Big let-off for Derby early on. Jonathan Grounds then, his cross shot from the edge of the box, smacking the far corner. But Steve Cottrell's side pressed. The goal, though, came on 19. But for Derby, great passing move. Johnny Russell here, fine run into the box. His low effort taking a deflection, we think, off Harley Dean and past David Stockdale. Up the other end, calls of get him on the plane to Russia after this save from Scott Carson. Palms over a long-range effort from Gardner. Birmingham's perhaps best effort of the half. Then Vidra hits the crossbar. His cross from a tight angle. Bounces just off the bar and out for a goal kick. Looks like Stockdale knew where it was going. Not so for Stockdale on 56 minutes, though. What a way to score goal number 16 of the season. Tom Lawrence with the ball to the feet. Vidra rifling it past. He's been involved in more league goals than any other player in the Championship. 15 goals, 3 assists. And it was nearly 3. Great build-up from Derby, this on 58 minutes. It's that man, Johnny Russell, again, forcing a good save from Stockdale. Birmingham did have a couple of chances on 68. Derby failing to deal with this corner, just over from Jeremy Boga. And another chance to get one back on 85. Eventually a header from Jonathan Grounds, this time off the far post and bouncing eventually clear. Derby, though, killed off any hope for the home side on 89 minutes. 2 substitutes combining for Gary Rowett's side. Nugent squaring to Vyman, and he makes it 3-0. Now 10 unbeaten away for Derby in the league, and another happy return to his former stomping ground for Gary Rowett.
We've managed the games really well all season. You know, you don't lose 2 in 19 or something like that, and be in second place without having good experience and good know-how. And I just feel at this stage of the season that some of those attributes are coming through.
We didn't get enough out of a few of our players who have been good over the last few weeks today. Invariably, when that happens, you're not going to win a game, especially if you're talking about your front 3.
Cottrell didn't think it was a 3-goal game. What about Rams fan Richard?
Another really good away result today, unbeaten away since September. But a really big news in this month is Gary Rowett staying at Derby County, signing a new contract. We don't want any distractions like 2015 with Steve McLaren. No excuses second half of the season.
Vidra, then again, the headline act. That's now 21 shots on target and those 16 goals.
I get that, Caroline. He deserves the credit. He's an attacking player and defenders aren't as important. But Mickey...
Yes, they are.
it needs to be said, that has been the absolute nucleus of everything that's good about this team right now.
You've got to get the foundations right with a bit of experience. And in Richard Keogh, Curtis Davis, absolute rocks at the back, and they've been absolutely outstanding. And they have hit top gear. And they're going to take some stopping. And let's not forget about the goalkeeper as well.
Absolutely. I mean, is it beyond the realms of possibility? The guy who made his debut for one of his 4 England Cups in the Wally with a Brawley game that long ago, it was 2007, was that? Could be back in the England fold. I mean, he's in that form. Absolutely.
Look, if he keeps keeping clean sheets like he is at the moment, then he's certainly in with a shout. But I think there's a few probably ahead of him at the moment because they're playing in the Premier League. Pickford, you know, Butland, but there's no reason why he can't force a way into that squad.
Absolutely, all good news from that team. Right, the lunchtime kick-off saw Cardiff, who slipped to their 3rd in the league after 4 straight defeats, and they were taking on Chris Coleman's Sunderland, who were bottom of the Championship pile. Commentary on this one comes from Higginbotham and Weaver.
He's surrounded as Morrison, the ball doesn't reach him. And there's Callum Paterson again. And this is Rawls, and that did pack a punch. And Reiter dealt with it.
It's a fantastic strike. Rawls does really well to keep it down, and that's an outstanding save from Reiter.
As Cardiff City's results have dipped in recent weeks, so has their effectiveness inside the box. And one key area that's been pointed out to the players by the management team is their lack of shots on target, although there's one. And Reiter manages to get down to it.
Yeah, does do well, Reiter, because he bounces just in front of him.
Was known for his goals during his time at Hearts. Callum Paterson, who is in the middle here. And it's gone towards Paterson, who made contact with it and scores! Cardiff City strike first as they look to shake off the blues which have hit this winter. And it's Callum Paterson, right place, right time.
And Paterson gets up really well above Jones. Good movement. Gets in. Reiter will be disappointed though. He wants a foul, but I don't see a foul anywhere there.
And Dong has just caught Hoylett. And the Cardiff City players not happy with that challenge. Well, Didier Ndong is shown the red card.
Ndong does get there late. His foot does go over the ball, which makes it even more dangerous looking and more poor looking. He'll find himself, he'll be annoyed. He's been given the red card for that.
It's over the head of Browning. That's Billy Jones. Again, it was all about the second ball, and Cardiff City dealt with it. Sohor trying to keep Clark Salter at arm's length. He's gone away from Clark Salter, and that's Rawls! It's a stunning goal from Cardiff City. That's the Cardiff City of the first half of the season. The Cardiff City that had the championship on red alert. Brilliant!
It was a fantastic counter-attack from Cardiff themselves, and the man of the moment, the best player on the pitch in my mind so far, gets the goal that he deserves.
In it goes from Honeyman. There's a miscue there, which would have been an own goal, but for the woodwork.
I don't know whether it's actually Clark Salter or Manga that gets the final touch on it, but all Everidge can do is just watch and hope.
Cardiff City on the approach again with Hoyless. Outwitted and outmanoeuvred John O'Shea, who committed the foul. That's Patterson! Cardiff City have turned the lights back on. Sunderland, the big club with the big problems, have got more trouble to deal with.
You just look at Patterson, he's the one that wants to get it, goes through Jones's legs, and Patterson gets his left foot around it and puts the ball into the back of the net.
This is Manga looking for runners ahead of him. Yannick Vilchop, Pilkington's all alone in the middle. Pilkington applies the finishing touch. Vilchop, the creator on his debut, he's made a huge impact since coming on. And Anthony Pilkington puts the gloss on a perfect day for Cardiff City.
Pilkington, he puts the ball into the back of the net, just watch it bobbling towards him. It's a simple tapping for him.
We needed that, you know. You could see the nervousness in the first half. We just said we've got to get that first goal. And then you could see the pressure off, and we enjoyed it. You know, we played some good stuff second half.
Disappointing. I mean, as soon as you go 1-0 down in a minute of the restart, in our position anyway, you've got an uphill climb. And no, it was our second half, really, we got what we deserved.
That Rawls goal, I absolutely love. Digging it out from what technique that was. He's in great form at the moment. And Neil Warnock needed a day like that. They're staring down the barrel of 5 defeats in a row.
Yeah, you're right, Colin. First win in 5, but they deserved it today. From start to finish, they were the better side. Sunderland hung on in the first half, but it was just catastrophic mistakes. One, first initially from the goalkeeper, from Robin Reuter, and it just can't happen. You know, you've got to try and push people out the way when this ball comes into the air. He's running around players, flapping his arm at it. This is an experienced goalkeeper, you know, trying to keep a clean sheet, and you're just making silly mistakes every single week. This is why you can't make a decision from 2 goalkeepers. And then the red card comes, Ndong on Hoylett. I don't actually think it's a yellow card, if I'm brutally honest with you. It's a clean challenge. He wins the ball. Yes, he studs her up, but you see it here. He's gone in wholeheartedly, wants to win the football, and he certainly does that. The referee then picks out a red card, and it's just a silly decision. But we've seen them all weekend long.
Yeah, we have done. I mean, here's just a selection of other challenges that weren't red cards.
Well, this is the George Friend one that we watched earlier. George Friend here, body off the floor, goes in with his stud, and it's absolutely ridiculous. That's the Nottingham Forest one, but there's another one here. This is Ross Wallace on Friday night. Again, I mean, the challenges here are just absolutely ridiculous. We're seeing them all the time, and you've got to get it right. This is it here. Ross Wallace just runs straight across, studs in the air. I don't know what he's complaining about there. He has to get sent off.
Yeah, the other one was Bolton today, and that's the inconsistency of referee of a sport that isn't just set plays, and that is judged by humans' interpretations.
This is why we're complaining every single week. There has to be that consistency. What's a red, what's a yellow, and what is a sending off, and what's not? Because this is why supporters are going crazy every single week.
Yeah, in terms of Sunderland, how many points do you think they need for from 19 games remaining to stay.
Well, we need 28, and that gets you to the magical number in the Championship of 50. And when you think we've only got 22 right now from 27, it is just not enough. We have just not been good enough. I think the club is just rotten from top to bottom. I think we've got a manager from Waitrose, and we've got players who you probably buy at Aldi. That's the problem that we've got. You're bringing in loanees, and they're just not good enough. The experienced players are making mistakes every single week, and it has to change. If it doesn't change, we're looking down at League One right now, and that is not a big football club for me. We are not a big club anymore.
Yeah, I know you're a proper fan. You're speaking from the heart there. I just wasn't expecting the supermarket references. What type of player were you, Lidl?
I was more than Waitrose.
Right, OK. Definitely Sainsbury's. There you go. Proper fan as well as a pundit. Listen, wall-to-wall action now. Less of Mickey and I, which is always a good thing. 4 games back-to-back, a supermarket of football, concluding with a Friday night Steel City derby. But starting with Bristol City, who were so nearly Manchester City's equals on Tuesday night. They faced Norwich.
The flip side of Bristol City's outstanding efforts in the Carabao Cup is a dip in league form Norwich intended to exploit. And it needed Nathan Baker's superb clearance to keep Josh Murphy from putting Daniel Farke's side in front. The Canaries' confidence raised by an upturn in results that had brought 7 points from 9, plus a draw with Chelsea. Nelson Oliveira next to go close. Bristol City hadn't found the net from open play in their previous 3 matches, having started the scoring midweek with a penalty. When Jamal Lewis took a risk with his tackle on Josh Brownhill in the second half, they possibly could have had another one. Lee Johnson's men much improved since their return from the dressing room, dominant by the time Brownhill let fly. But the outcome remained in the balance and tipped Norwich's way with just 11 minutes remaining. Plenty of space for Ivo Pinto, who was happy to let the influential James Maddison make something happen. In his last 8 league starts, the midfielder's been directly involved in 7 goals, netting 4 of them himself. And Maddison's tremendous strike would be enough if Norwich could keep a 3rd successive clean sheet on their travels. Thanks to Angus Gunn, they did. On loan from the Etihad, his point-blank save from Brownhill meant for the 2nd time this week, a Manchester City player denied the Robins the outcome they felt they deserved.
Norwich have come here to Bristol, taken all 3 points without Pritchard. In fact, I've forgotten Pritchard already. There's only one player we need to worry about. James Maddison, get in.
The Wolves bandwagon rolled confidently into Barnsley and was purring nicely into life when Jota tapped in, only for the referee's assistant to throw a spanner in the works with a debatable offside flag. No matter, the visitors were undeterred and undaunted, and Jota's effort was unstoppable. Barnsley had the bar to thank for that. While Wolves have forgotten how to lose, Barnsley have only won once in the league in 2 months, but they resisted valiantly. They were also given a significant helping hand by the visitors, especially when Jota missed by a lotter. A clean sheet, though, is a welcome boost for Paul Heckingbottom's men, who might have pinched an unlikely win. George Moncur didn't quite have his shooting boots on a day when the leaders had to settle for a point.
We are fighting from the day one for every single point that we've conquered. There's no one day that we don't work hard for what we gain.
Do you expect...
We are humbled to know that we still have a long way to go, but we look back and we are very proud of what we've made.
There's something about Portman Road that brings out the worst in Leeds. Take Eunan O'Kane here, 37 minutes gone when he lashed out at Jonas Knutsen right in front of the referee. And went a red card, Leeds 3rd in their last 7 visits here. The question was, could Ipswich take advantage? Bersant Salina was game and very nearly gave us one of the goals of the weekend. Callum Connolly had no better luck following up. It was typical of an Ipswich side winless in 5 and short on confidence. Connolly went close again in the second half. Felix Weidewald saved before Joe Garner made a mess of things. You wondered if Ipswich were in the process of doing something similar, but their breakthrough came on 67 minutes. Selina able to celebrate a wonder goal after all. A great way to secure a first win of the year. Leeds aren't enjoying 2018 though. Defeat at Newport last time and suspensions mounting up. Liam Cooper's late miss summed up their week and completed another fruitless trip to Portman Road.
Zanti, that's what you get from him, you know. It frustrates at times. He tried, but They're frustrated because he's trying to beat people. He's trying to be positive, and of course, if you lose it, can end up back in our box. But ever since he's been here, he's got that. He practices. No way can I coach him that or anybody else. That's God-given, and he practices it. It was worthy of winning any game. It was a fabulous strike.
He shouldn't have seen a red card. He didn't do anything. It was the opponent who comes to him and just fall back when there's a touch. That means it's also the opponent who comes and touch him, because Union didn't make a reaction with the head to hit him.
Yorkshire's other big story this weekend played out on Friday night. The Steel City derby, with Jos Luhukai taking charge of Sheffield Wednesday for the first time. Watching this one was Daniel Mann.
Basham on the scene, now Baldock. What a terrific header, a match by the save from Joe Wildsmith. It's United on the move, and Leon Clark finding Donaldson. Well, Evans has to get it right. A man on a booking, taking a chance going into any challenge. The referee is going to dismiss the Sheffield Wednesday captain. Well, is this the turning point? That's the kind of attention we don't need. Wallace works it inside. Fox was arriving. Well, Stearman dealt with it when his keeper might have done. Lundstrom, and Moore's in trouble. It's reach, but he reacted superbly, Simon Moore, because he was in real pain. Reach denied.
We have so much injuries from players who cannot play, but we try to do the best with these players, and what they do today, it gives me hope for the next games that we have. It can be better, but we must make step for step, and this was the first step, I think.
And the first step, Mickey, was a baptism of fire, wasn't it? Hello, I'm your new manager, Steel City Derby.
Oh, listen, well, they didn't want Sheffield United doing the double over them, so I think it was a dogged performance. They had to grind it out when they went down to 10 men also. It was really difficult, but two world-class saves in that game, I have to say.
And only 2 goals in the 4 games you've just shown, but load to talk about. Let's look at the Leeds red card first. The manager says not in any day of the week.
Well, you don't see too many appeals from O'Kane. He shoves the defender, he puts his head towards his head, the referee comes straight across, and it has to be a red card for me. It's a silly thing to do.
It looks a little innocuous in his defence. There isn't a huge amount in it, but I suppose once you lift your hand, you give the referee a decision, don't you?
No, absolutely. Look, once you raise your arms and you start putting your head into somebody else's, defender goes to the ground, you're giving the decision to the referee and making it really easy for him.
Bursan Selina, back in October, do you remember the fans were singing "Bring 'em on"? Mickey was there was an argy-bargy between them, and this is why the fans love him.
Well, why not? You know, we just heard Mick speaking about him, and you know, he's obviously got that special talent where when he gets anywhere near 25, 30 yards out, he just wants to strike a goal. And I mean, it's a fantastic goal, and what a big win for them today.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Right, Bristol City, lost 5 in a row. I'm not having wheels off here, right? Don't go tabloid TV on me. Let's take a look at Wolves, top of the division. Watford, Manchester City. I mean, the Villa result was the stinker, I think. Yeah. All credit to Villa for that. Is it a distraction, what's going on in the Carabao Cup, more than the wheels coming off?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, look, the amount of effort and endeavour that they put in against Manchester City was incredible, and the players deserve all the credit that come their way, although they lost the game, but they're still in the tie. But I think today, and I have to say this, and I'm not being a cynic here, but I actually called it today because I think, you know, all that effort going into a game today, and I thought it was going to be really difficult to raise themselves, and that's down to the manager. I'm not saying it was a poor performance, but I just didn't think they were going to win today.
Yeah, no, it absolutely wasn't a poor performance. They were turning the screw, and just couldn't get across the line. And all credit to Norwich. This is about scoring goals, and what a goal they got. What an impressive young player James Maddison is.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I think, you know, we were talking about, you know, young players. bursting onto the scene and coming up with quality like this. And it took something like that to break down Bristol City today. It was going to take a little bit of magic, and he came up with it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, 3 wins out of 4 in the league for Norwich. The draw, Chelsea, loads of reasons to be cheerful.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah. I think they're on the up at the moment. Whether they can reach those playoffs is going to be difficult.
Absolutely. OK, another new manager next. This time it's Karanka at Nottingham Forest, and he was hoping to see the wood from the trees against the Villa. Welcome back to the City Ground we go, where Nottingham Forest did for the Gunners in the FA Cup last weekend and had a new man calling the shots in the dugout this evening. Aitor Karanka's first game in charge, so I'm pitted against Steve Bruce and Aston Villa. Your commentators Don Goodman and Rob Hawthorne.
Nice touch from Dal. Here's Brereton. Nothing out to his left, everything has moved to his right. Dal. Cash has a go, and Johnston hangs on.
Crisp passing, awareness of where your teammates are, and ultimately ends up leading to a strike at goal, and that's what you want.
Here's Vaughan. Forest hadn't scored in their last 3 league matches, which was one of the factors in the departure of Mark Warburton. Villa haven't conceded in their last 2. In the victory against Middlesbrough and the subsequent victory at home to Bristol City. Here's Snodgrass swinging another one in, and Hogan's there! And Aston Villa have made the perfect start here, puncturing the optimism around the City ground at the arrival of the new manager. And the promotion pretenders on course.
Hard for Jordan Smith to come and get a hold of that. Matt Mills lets the ball go. Maybe thinking it's going to the goalkeeper. Scott Hogan anticipates, as strikers very often do, and he gets a simple goal for his troubles.
Hutton. Nice touch from Madoma, looking to release Grealish. Grealish held up originally by Osborne, who then gave away the free kick for the foul on him.
Clear foul by Ben Osborne. Dangerous moment for the home team.
Goes deep towards Terry, and it's off the bar.
Well, they find themselves 1 down, Forest, but could so easily been 2. John Terry, he must feel he's given his team a 2-goal cushion, but just can't quite get on top of it and keep it down. How close does he go?
Conor Hourihane out to Snodgrass. And Snodgrass has battled his way through. He went down a little bit late, but he has won the free kick.
It's one of those tangle of legs, isn't it, where he uses his body to get in front of Traore. He's not trying to trip him, it's just an accidental tangle of legs.
Oh! Well, the question was asked of Jordan Smith, and he reacted in a very alert manner.
Excellent goalkeeping.
Here's Grealish. Doma waited for Lehigh to commit, and then Mills gets it away. And they did turn it around here against Villa last year, Forest, when Brereton came up with a late winner. Here's Grealish.
Well, it is Villa that have started this second half on the front foot, obviously feeling if they can get that second goal, this game is over. It's a fantastic effort.
Terry. All given away by Chester. Here's Mackay. First real chance for the substitute to make an impact.
Oh, that's weak, isn't it? Oh, this is the situation that Forest would want Barry Mackay in, driving at the last line of Aston Villa's defenders, but it's a very weak effort.
Towards Ben Brereton, who's got a lot of work to get through on his own here. Support arriving now from Dowell and from Mackay. It's Barry Mackay.
That's very good. Unfortunately for Forest, it's a comfortable save. Angle is always against the Forest player there.
Here's Dowell, who has a go, and it was moving that, and Johnston had to deal with it as best he could.
Well, he gets just enough of a hand on this, you know, Sam Johnson. I'm pretty sure he wanted to palm this ball much further away from the goal than he actually does, but he'll be relieved.
As I've said many, many times, you know, it's where you are when the daffodils and the tulips come up when it really, really matters. The tickly bit starts. So, still a bit to go before then, but we'll give ourselves a chance.
The first thing is to be more intense, because if especially in this league you need to be intense, you need to be aggressive, you need to be hungry, because again it's a tough league. Most of the players are young, but again I'm not concerned because the crowd has been amazing the first game, so I know that we're gonna do well.
On paper, he looks a good appointment, and I think the owners have done well to attract somebody of his calibre. That wouldn't have happened under the last ownership, I'm pretty sure. But I do think it's going to be a couple of seasons before Forest get this right. There's a lot of work to be done with this squad, but fingers crossed things will pick up.
I think that's absolutely the key. He gets it bang on, because Mark Warburton wasn't this owner's man. He came in a couple of months before the takeover, and we know they were at loggerheads all the time, the fans and the owners then. So it'll be interesting to see how this ownership, how much time they will give Karanka.
Yeah, well, you're going to need time to sort it out, because it's certainly going to be a different approach. It won't be the pretty football that Nottingham Forest have been playing since Mark Warburton was at the club. Karanka will come in, he'll get them organised, he'll make them very difficult to beat, start to climb up the table, but it's a long process. It doesn't happen overnight. We just heard the supporter there saying he needs a couple of seasons. I don't know if he'll get that amount of time if they're not winning football games, but he is the right appointment for them.
In terms of Aston Villa, having John Terry back, this is the obvious statement of the night. It's huge. We saw today keeping him fit. It is really key to their charge back towards the Premier League.
Without a shadow of a doubt. When you've got experience like John Terry's got, you need him playing on a regular basis. They've got to try and wrap him up in cotton wool and then just put him out on the field on match days, because that experience will help the players around him. Yeah. And it's just that organisation. And he's vocal. And I think when you've got somebody like him and the respect that he earns from the rest of his teammates, I think it gives you that chance of climbing up the table. They're in the playoffs right now, and if Steve Bruce can get them on a great little run, there's no reason why they can't finish in them top two spots, because they're a really good side.
OK, not far away from the goal rush now, and some unbelievable Darren Ferguson quotes on referees. But before that, another 4 in the row after the break. John Torrell thought this was a legitimate goal, so did his manager, but crucially, the man in the middle didn't. Hello again. 4 more matches to come in the Sky Bet Championship. Preston North End just 1 defeat in 10. They travel to the fortress that is the Den to face Millwall.
Not many teams have left South London this season with much more but the cheers of another home win ringing in their ears. So Preston started on the front foot, and the right foot of Callum Robinson almost struck the first blow. But normal service was resumed when Millwall took the lead. Aidan O'Brien may have scored twice in the FA Cup last weekend, but that was his first league goal since mid-September. So far, so good then for the home faithful, and it got much better when Steve Morrison picked out Lee Gregory. The Lions frontman did the rest, but there was the offside flag to ruin his and his manager's afternoon. And Neil Harris's mood wasn't improved when Preston capitalised. No one picked up Robinson, and he made them pay, making that offside decision even more painful to take.
Lee Gregory had a very good goal disallowed for offside, and then I've seen it back and clearly onside. And they're the fine margins at this level, and today they didn't quite go for us.
To be honest, we're not looking down, maybe we're looking up. We're 2 points outside the playoffs now, so we've gained a point as far as the results go just now. So we'll look forward to the next one.
Brentford's impressive home form continued with this routine triumph over struggling Bolton. The Bees buzzed louder throughout. Ollie Watkins with an early chance, only to put his shot wide. But the visitors had been put on notice. This was going to be a rough afternoon. The only surprise was that Brentford didn't go in front until 5 minutes before the break, when Denmark's Lasse Vibe set up Dutchman Florian Josefsson, whose effort from a tight angle was emphatic and effective. A number of Dean Smith's squad hail from the continent. Nico Yanaris sounds like another Euro star, but the midfielder was actually born in Leytonstone. The East Ender so close to making it 2. As for the Trotters, their best chance fell to Gary Medine, but only because Johan Barbe of France smacked a clearance straight into his Danish teammate Andreas Bjelland. Essex boy Daniel Bentley with the save. And Brentford made sure in stoppage time with another made-in-Europe effort. Spaniard Sergi Canos setting up France's Neil Maupay. The Brexit debate may rage on, but the only thing Brentford might be leaving is the Championship. They're now just 3 points out of the playoffs.
We've won 4 out of the last 5 league games, which is really pleasing, and we've made this into a little bit of a fortress as well. We've not been beaten here since the first game of the season, and we want to make sure we continue that.
We're in a relegation battle with quite a few other teams. 2 or 3 months ago, it was probably just 4 of us in that relegation battle. Now there's a few more teams looking over their shoulders. So we're pleased with that, and we've now got to look to keep building our results, as they have been over the Christmas period, where we won 3 out of 4, which was great. Today is a setback, but we regroup and go again next week.
At the Pirelli Stadium, a potentially pivotal game in QPR's season, starting just 6 points above strugglers Burton Albion and determined not to get dragged into the relegation equation. Aramid Ote's first senior goal on his full debut won't win any awards, but it was pretty special to the teenager, yet Rangers promptly threw away the advantage. Inside 2 minutes, Burton were back on level terms through Lloyd Dyer, though manager Nigel Clough was honest enough to admit his team were often outplayed in the first half, well below the standard they've been setting since mid-December. If that bright spell revived Albion's survival prospects, their record on their own turf still threatens to sink them. Connor Washington a whisker from putting the Brewers on track for yet another home defeat. And when Luke Freeman spotted a huge hole in the Burton defence, Washington restored Rangers' lead. Clough's men heading for their 9th home league loss in 10. Rangers for a first ever victory over these opponents at the 5th attempt. The result wrapped up in the closing minutes by Massimo Luongo, carrying the Londoners up towards mid-table, where they're wondering what's to come.
We don't know where we're going to be yet. Some days we look like we could be towards the top. Some days we beat the teams at the top, and but it's about being consistent and getting the breaks. But today everybody played their part. We did a real good job, and I thought we deserved to win.
Nigel Adkins wanted to see hungry tigers rather than sleeping lions in front of goal, as he urged his side to pounce on their chances against former club Reading. Chances like Jared Bowen's strike that forced a wonderful save from Vito Manone. John Terrell finished the follow-up, only to see it controversially ruled out, much to Adkins' frustration. Yapstam's side have the same problems as Hull in front of goal. Their barren run would have been over if Alan McGregor hadn't produced his best twice to deny Liam Moore. Not even returning set-piece specialist Sebastian Larsson could help break the deadlock. His free kick dangerously close, but not close enough. His corner unable to find a teammate before Terrell was once again denied his first goal of the season by Manone. A point that does little to help either side, but one the Tigers boss felt should have been 3.
Obviously I'm seeing it from the dugout. He's made a good save initially, but for me, if that was on a training ground, then that's given us a goal. For me, when I was playing, that would be given us a goal, and I'm a goalkeeper, so I've played a goal, always protected, but for me, it was there to be scored, and I think it should have been given.
Well, let's take a look at John Terrell's goal. There's the spirit of the game, then there's the law of the game, Mickey, and I think they don't really line up with this one, but let's have a look.
Well, they don't in this one. I'd be absolutely seething if I was Nigel Adkins in the Hull City side, because this should be a goal. John Terrell sticks the ball in the back of the net, and you can see Vito Manone, he makes the save, but he's reaching to get any contact on that ball. And I think the problem is that it isn't under control. You know, he's not got his body in a position where he's going to stop the ball from going in the back of the net. When he's reaching like that, you've still got the chance to put the ball in the back of the net. It should count.
But the law says one hand in the ball, even if the ball's in the ground and it's in the goalkeeper's control. So, yes, we think it should have been a goal, but the referee actually got it right according to the law. There you go. Stand up for referees. Here's the table. Wolves have had... Look at the disgust in your face. Wolves have had their lead over Derby at the top of the table, cut to 10 points. Cardiff stay third. Sheffield United back in the top 6. The bottom 3-all tasted defeat today. Hull City have moved above Bolton on a goal difference. OK, Goal Rush is coming up next, and some quite incendiary comments from the Doncaster Rovers manager, Darren Ferguson. His team weren't awarded this penalty, and that led to an astonishing post-match attack on the standard of refereeing. Find out what he said next. Welcome to Goal Rush. Sky Bet League One is where we begin, and Caroline kicks us off with the clash between third and second.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of Blackburn fans this week, and they said it's brilliant to have some stability at the club. Stability coming in the shape of Tony Mowbray. His 50th game in charge was up against a Shrewsbury side who were a place above him in the league, albeit 5 points ahead. He felt that goal was coming for Blackburn, and after stopping a Shrewsbury attack, a minute later, captain Charlie Mulgrew steps up to take this free kick, 25 yards out. What a free kick. Henderson gets a hand, goes in via the post, can't keep it out. That's 10 for the season. Not a bad way to mark his 50th league start. Blackburn felt this was a dubious decision next. Carlton Morris nicking the ball past David Raya. The keeper judged to have caught him. Up steps John Nolan, and he sends the Spaniard the wrong way, 1-1. Rovers then had the ball in the back of the net on 51 minutes. It was through Paul Downing. Ruled out, though, apparently for a foul by Danny Graham in the build-up. Finally got their reward on 60 minutes. Town looking to clear, gets deflected, and the shot eventually from Bradley Dack comes back off the post. There's Danny Graham following up, smashing the ball home, his 10th of the season. Rovers then had a penalty of their own on 68 minutes from Dack's pass. Dominic Samuel was brought down by Henderson. I'm saying that's a little bit soft inside the area. Given, though, and Charlie Mulgrove from the spot, little run-up, hesitation, scores his 11th. Not bad for a defensive player, eh? 3-1 it finishes, ending Shrewsbury's 10-match unbeaten run. Blackburn now breathing down their necks.
We've had a good week's training and everybody was right at it today. I think from the first whistle to the last, I think, great character to get in front and to get pegged back, but then to show the energy and the desire to get the victory was important for us.
I just felt we contributed slightly to his own downfall today, but give Blackburn credit. We played with a lot of intensity. Thought their energy was good. But I didn't come away from the game feeling like we've been, blown away.
Yeah, he's nailed it from a Shrews point of view. Blackburn are absolutely flying and making this league so exciting. But we got to remember, start of season, they went in big favourites.
So it's everybody's cup final, so it was always going to be hard for them, Cole. But I think now they're kind of proven to everybody how good they are. 15 unbeaten. 2 points away from Shrewsbury in those automatic positions, and who's going to say that they're not going to do it, because they've got a great squad of players, they've got a fantastic manager, and I think that club deserves to be back in the Championship.
OK, on with the rest of the action, starting with the leaders, Wigan against Peterborough, just a couple of points outside of the playoffs.
A minute's silence to mark the passing of former Wigan defender Juan Carlos Garcia, who lost his battle against leukemia at the age of 29. Two teams in good form created few chances. Michael Jacobs was on target, but Jonathan Bond in the Peterborough goal was equal to his effort. The point keeps the Latics at the top of the table, and it's now 7 games, 704 minutes to be exact, since they conceded a goal. That streak kept alive when Jack Marriott's stoppage time effort was waved off for a tight-looking offside.
Although they were knocked out of the EFL Trophy on the South Coast in midweek, Portsmouth's league form at Fratton Park has been formidable. And after a quarter of an hour, Jamal Lowe celebrated his new contract with the opener. Scunthorpe manager Graham Alexander has been busy strengthening his squad, but chose to leave striker Ivan Toney on the bench. A more unlikely source, defender Murray Wallace, tried his luck, but keeper Luke McGee was equal to it. Although Pompey led at the break, Scunthorpe carried a greater threat in the second period. Tom Hopper was back in the starting lineup, and his work on the left provided Kevin Von Veen with the opportunity to level things up. That's 4 in his last 6 games for the Dutchman. The visitors were extending their unbeaten run to 6, and they went close to winning it through Josh Morris. McGee's reaction save protected Pompey's point.
2018 has started well for John Joe O'Toole. After ending his goal drought against Southend last weekend, he nodded home Northampton's opener against Bradford just before half-time. With the chance to move out of the relegation zone on offer for the Cobblers, they set about securing their lead after the interval. Chris Long's burst into the box had the Bradford defence falling apart. His neat near-post finish hardly silencing the home fans' boos. Northampton leads are rarely secure, however, and they would face a late scare. Dominic Polian denied by the goal frame 6 minutes from time. A chance that the Bantams would rue missing once Paul Taylor's delectable strike found the back of the net in stoppage time. 2 wins in 2 now for Northampton.
Oldham's recovery under Richie Wellens has proved to be short-lived, but things might have been different against Rotherham had Craig Davis taken this 3rd-minute chance. Richard Wood on the goal line for the Millers. They were to make the most of their lucky escape. 4 minutes later, Rotherham were ahead. Some haphazard Oldham defending, allowing Ryan Williams to nab the opening goal. Playing in high winds and on a rotten pitch, conditions weren't to anyone's liking here. But this Richard Towell challenge on Usman Fane gave Oldham a free kick and a rare shooting chance. And Davis wasn't going to pass up the opportunity this time. His 11th goal of the season ensured Oldham a share of the points.
These are tough times for rock bottom Bury, who haven't scored a league goal since Chris Lucchetti took over. And try as they might, they still haven't. Oh, the irony of not being able to find the back of the net at one end and then almost scoring an own goal. Nathan Cameron saved by the post. Charlton were looking to climb back into playoff contention after an indifferent run of their own form, and Joe Aribo provided the moment of inspiration to unlock the Bury defence. Mark Marshall made sure it counted. With the 3 points heading back to London, the visitors might have left Gig Lane with one of the goals of the season. Steffi Mavadidi weaving his magic, only for Connor Ripley and the post to break the spell.
Well, spur a thought for Bury fans who tune in to a show called Goal Rush and haven't seen one since November the 21st, so hopefully that changes soon. No time to waste. 6 more matches in League One. And as if there wasn't enough riding in the clash between MK Dons and AFC Wimbledon, just 2 points and 2 places separated them at the bottom end of the table.
2 points between them and no love lost. MK Dons and Wimbledon's latest grudge match was a close-run thing. Joe McDonald's save from Conor McGrandles came amid a frenetic opening to the match. A minute later, MK had a narrow escape of their own. Andy Barcham's effort off the post and off the goal line. But these two strugglers couldn't maintain that sort of pace. The game was to peter out, but not before McDonald denied Robbie Muirhead, ensuring a first ever draw between these two arch-rivals.
Although Rochdale have an FA Cup 4th round tie to look forward to, their league form is a cause for concern. They hadn't won in the previous 6 in the league, so Andy Cannon's first goal of the season provided a welcome lift. Gillingham appear revitalised under Steve Lovell, and they were on terms just before the break. Bradley Garmston with the understated celebration. The hosts completed the turnaround when Elliot List's cross dropped nicely for Lee Martin. So the Kent club continue to be upwardly mobile. In contrast, Keith Hill's side remained deep in trouble. In added time, Billy Knott had an opportunity to mark his debut with the equaliser, but skied the chance.
Oxford's last victory at Walsall came close to 30 years ago, so there was almost a sense of inevitability about this one once Amadou Bakayoko had stabbed home the Saddlers opener on 33 minutes against the run of play. Oxford's recent form on their travels hasn't exactly been great, so a second Walsall goal early in the second half should really have settled this one. A typical spark of creative genius from Erhun Oztuma. But when the visitors pulled one back 20 minutes from time, courtesy of Barnsley loanee Alex Moat, Walsall were knocked right out of their comfort zone. And keeper Liam Roberts had to earn his money with a string of fine saves, none better than this one to deny a clearly stunned James Henry. Both teams look settled in mid-table.
Southend's form has certainly been a little fishy of late, but after 3 straight defeats they must have felt their luck was in against the Cod Army after Jason Dimitriou's reaction header ensured Devontae Cole's effort wouldn't break the deadlock. Uwe Rosler has already been busy this January, and the new arrivals don't look like fish out of water in Fleetwood colours. Toumani Diaguraga couldn't miss on his debut from 6 yards out. Nor could fellow debutant Paddy Madden. Too powerful for the Southend defence to reel in. The Irish forward getting back in the goals for the first time since August to double the advantage. There was brief consolation for Phil Brown's side. Michael Kitely's strike, hardly the catch of the day, but something to bring a brief smile to the home fans' faces as their side continued to sink after a fourth straight defeat.
The league table suggested a tight affair at Bloomfield Road between two teams level on points. Rory Gaffney just wide of the mark for Bristol Rovers as the contest finally sprung to life in the last 15 minutes, with Blackpool grateful for Joe Lumley's quick reactions, twice keeping out Joe Partington. His Rovers counterpart Adam Smith rarely had much to worry about, though perhaps the Gas were fortunate not to be penalised when Ollie Clark appeared to nudge Armand Nondouye. Typical Blackpool might think. It's almost 3 months since they won at home in the league, and they needed Lumley's save from Tom Nichols to ensure they took anything from this game. The club's still inseparable.
Two clubs promoted alongside each other at the end of last season, and only goal difference between them so far this campaign. This a moment Alfie Beeston will always remember, the 20-year-old's first league goal. Doncaster-claimed defender Andy Butler was hauled to the ground as Ryan Edwards' first-time connection pulled the visitors level. Plymouth, who've been on a tremendous run, almost grabbed the lead, but Anthony Sarcevic was denied by keeper Ian Lawler's legs. And the hosts were convinced referee Andy Haynes should have awarded a penalty when James Coppinger went down under the challenge of Sonny Bradley. Rovers manager Darren Ferguson didn't hold back in his condemnation of the officials.
And after confronting the referee, he walked into a local radio interview, and this is what he had to say.
The part-time, the standards are appalling, the fitness levels are a disgrace. It's absolute, I've had enough of it. It's disgusting, the referees at the standard at this level.
So what would you do?
What can I do?
What would you like to see the FA do?
Shoot them. Be a good idea.
OK, let's separate the two issues here, and let's deal with the last sentence in that radio interview. You know, I'm sure if he's watching now, he would give anything to take that line back.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I mean, Darren's choice of words were unacceptable, and I think he knows that, but he's the first person to admit to that, and I'm sure he will in the coming days. But I think, you know, you have to listen to the full interview to see where he's going with it.
Yeah, there's still no excuse for it, and when you look at the thousands of comments about it, say, on social media, you know, almost all of them, if not all of them, have said that line is unacceptable. But in the same tweets, people are saying, but what he's saying about refereeing levels, no matter how savage, there's widespread support from clubs, fans in League One and League Two about him saying that the standard's just not good enough.
I've been saying it for a long time, Colin. I don't think the referees are fit enough. You know, we're talking about young, fit, professional football players here playing on a regular basis, training every day and then playing on match days. And you need a referee to keep up with play in both halves. I think it's really difficult for them. And the bit that I don't get is they're part-time in League One and League Two. Now, we're talking about professional football matches that supporters pay their money to go and watch. They need professional referees, so that needs sorting out quickly.
That's absolutely the key for this, and to defend the referees a little bit here, they have 9-to-5 jobs. They have other jobs that they do. I wouldn't do what they're doing for the stick they get for 20 times the couple hundred quid in their back pocket.
But it shouldn't be the case, though, should it? I think if you have got a professional football match, then whoever it is that need to sort this out, whether it's the FA, the referees union, whoever it may be, they need to get guys in there, get them training on a regular basis and make sure that they are fit, healthy and ready to referee football games on a regular basis, because at the moment we're seeing too many mistakes. OK, let's have a look at the table at the end of all those decisions. Wigan are now 3 points clear of Shrewsbury, while Blackburn's win over the Shrews means they're just 2 points shy of the automatic promotion places. Charlton into the playoff spots. At the other end of the table, Northampton are up to 21st thanks to their win over Bradford. It's just goal difference keeping Oldham out of the drop zone. OK, League Two is next, and a rude awakening for the leaders, Luton at Chesterfield. Into Sky Bet League Two we go, and just as she did 15 minutes ago, Caroline's got a cracker at the top of the table to kick us off.
Yeah, I've never met a boss who prepares as much as Danny Cowley, but even he's admitted this week he's had to juggle things up, bringing in a few signings, particularly at the back. Frecklington and Williams, they'd start for his side against Kevin Nolan's team. Nolan celebrating a year in charge of Notts County. And they had first blood. Lincoln couldn't clear following a spell of pressure. Veteran striker John Stead jumping and kind of falling. Couldn't miss from inside the 6-yard box. 3 and 3 for him. Danny Cowley sent to the stands after the goal for protesting. On his way, Lincoln level. That's Lee Frecklington on his second debut for the club, making it 1-1. And Lincoln could have gone ahead on 65. Watch out for Matt Green, allowed space in the 6-yard box. Straight at Ross Fitzsimons. Didn't take long, though, to get nearly 10,000 on their feet. Matt Reed plays Danny Rowan behind the winger. And there's Matt Green slipping it past Fitzsimons. 2-1 then. And 10 minutes later, the game had swung again. The ball eventually dropping to George Grant in the area. And he smashes it in off the crossbar. That's his 17th of the season. Lincoln then thought they'd won it. Ollie Palmer slotting the ball past the keeper. But the keen-eared probably heard the whistle go for a foul in the build-up to that one. There were, and we've been speaking about officials, lots of Lincoln fans who perhaps were unhappy with some of those decisions. What about the managers?
From 30 minutes to 90 minutes, we're the better team. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, that's a good sign. You know, we're in the dressing room, we're really disappointed. And, you know, we're trying to play catch-up with these top teams in this division. And we're making progress every day. And today, you know, there's a lot of good signs.
We knew it was going to be a tough day. I thought my lads handled it magnificently, and yeah, I'm very pleased with the point. And it's a very respectable one and a really good one. And it's another one, you know, point to just keep us pushing along.
Is indeed, and on we go. Our next action starts with Chesterfield, who'd slipped back into the bottom two after taking just 1 point from the last 18 available. And it wasn't getting any easier for them. Their visitors were leaders Luton Town.
Facing a side far from disgraced against Premier League Newcastle in the FA Cup, Chesterfield looked undaunted, rewarded for taking the game to their opponents. Joe Rowley converting Robbie Weir's cross in the Spyrites' fine first-half display that turned out to be conclusive. There was no way back for Luton after home debutant Zavon Hines made the most of a touch from James Justin. The leaders' one league win in 3 will offer encouragement to the other promotion hopefuls as Jack McCourt made Chesterfield's unexpected success secure. Maximum points for them for only the second time since November.
Coventry's FA Cup defeat of Stoke won them the Performance of the Week award on Friday. But this goalkeeping won't win any prizes. Lee Burge punished by Exeter's Ryan Harley. The Grecians have been relying on their home form recently and collected another 3 points here. Chris Stokes' chance was as close as Coventry came to a leveller, the first defeat in 4 games for the Sky Blues.
You know you've got to keep a clean sheet. You try and score the second, but Coventry, you know, they gave us a real challenge today. I mean, it was a tough game, and I'm really pleased.
It's been an in-and-out season for Cheltenham, and this would be another frustrating afternoon of if-onlys, starting with a chance that Kevin Dawson couldn't quite convert. Goal-scoring wouldn't be a problem, though, for the high-flying visitors. Billy Key given the freedom of Gloucestershire to put Accrington in front. If that was disappointing, the home side will be kicking themselves about Stanley's second. Manny Onoresi tried to intervene, only to hand Caden Jackson a chance he just couldn't miss. To make matters even worse, the Accrington goal would live a charmed life. First Mo Issa and then Brian Graham beat the keeper, but not the woodwork. And even when they did manage to breach the visitors' defence, there was Janoy Donassian to make sure a clean sheet and 3 points would be theirs.
A heated rivalry born out of the ashes of their non-league days. Wickham kept arch-rivals Colchester off the mark early, thanks to Scott Brown's quick reactions. And the Chairboys weren't going to sit down and take an onslaught from the U's. Adebayo Akinfenwa an easy target to pick out for Joe Jacobson. The powerful forward's soft header, quite the juxtaposition for the breakthrough. With Gareth Ainsworth fielding 2 EFL debutants in his depleted side, it was down to veterans like Craig McHale-Smith to stay calm under pressure. He and a wild deflection provided Paris Cohen-Hall with Wanderers' second. Brown would continue to be tested as the U's tried to fight their way back into the game, Mikael Mandron's superb hit from range denied by an equally emphatic save from the 32-year-old. But the hosts were back to their best across the park, proving last week's FA Cup defeat was merely a blip on the radar. Tafari Moore's debut almost capped with a show-stealing solo goal, before Luke O'Nien brought the curtain down with a beauty. There was an encore, and not the one Wickham wanted. On another day, Sammy Smodics' strike might have grabbed the headlines, but that day wasn't today.
Everyone knows Mansfield are a tough nut to crack. Just one league defeat since October, but Cambridge almost struck first early in the second half. Uche Ikpeazu denied by the legs of Conrad Logan. The Stags were on the front foot after that, and manager Steve Evans is going to take an awful lot of convincing that Danny Rose's decisive touch came from an offside position. The officials, however, saw it differently, so this one ended up goalless.
And indeed, Chesterfield, arguably the result of the day. Brilliant for them, terrible for my bet and thousands of other people's.
I was really happy about that, but they have to start winning against sides who are around about them now to keep them out of that trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, 6 matches to finish off with. And Newport may have a glamour FA Cup tie with Spurs to look forward to. But today, it was all about the bread and butter at Grimsby.
Newport landed a profitable catch when they drew Tottenham in the next round of the FA Cup. By the banks of the Humber, they were angling to reel themselves up towards the playoff picture, and Robbie Wilmot netted an absolute beauty to put County in front. Porrick Amon scored more than 30 times in his one season for Grimsby. Now in South Wales, he almost converted with an up and under. Zach Mills cleared the danger. That reprieve was only temporary, as the Exiles doubled their advantage when Frank Newblay's deflected shot beat Jake Keane in the Mariners' goal. These are tough times for Grimsby. Jamil Mack came off the bench and offered hope when his persistence prevailed over keeper Joe Day's bravery. But it wasn't enough, and Russell Slade's side was slipping towards a 4th successive defeat. To make matters worse, Matt's involvement ended prematurely. Referee Graham Salisbury took a dim view of his challenge on Mickey Demetriou and produced a straight red card.
With the Green Army struggling on foreign soils this season, it was no surprise to see Swindon creating chances against the Rovers' defence. Bradley Collins keeping Keshi Anderson off the score sheet early on. As Forest Green tried to batten down the hatches and hold on to a point, their defences were finally broken. The war in the trenches eventually won by Luke Norris, who bundled the ball home to give the Robins a deserved victory.
A mixed bag of results in December have had Crewe more optimistic about avoiding the drop, but they mustn't rest on their laurels. At Carlisle, this incisive attack cut the Cumbrians wide open, but Jordan Bowery couldn't seal the deal. And having failed to take the lead in their best spell, Crewe were then vulnerable to the sucker punch, Ben Garrett having to beat away Sam Cosgrove's shot. But Cosgrove was to have the last laugh, left all alone in the 76th minute. The youngster delivered his first senior goal and Carlisle's first victory in 4 League and Cup matches.
Stevenage haven't enjoyed life on the road in League Two in the last few months. 8 successive away defeats looked like becoming 9 when big Kevin Ellison pounced. But that losing streak was brought to an end in fairy tale fashion by defender Fraser Franks. His 89th minute equaliser sent them back to Hertfordshire very happy indeed.
Yeovil might be generating some FA Cup headlines, but facing the might of Manchester United in a couple of weeks didn't seem to be a distraction against Port Vale. The Glovers taking an early lead through Francois Zoko. They'd never won at Vale Park, but really deserved to end that run here. Luck would play a part early in the second half. Bournemouth loney Sam Surridge had Ryan Boot beaten, but the post came to the Vale keeper's aid. The home side were never really at it, but late on they were gifted a penalty. Omar Suwunmi judged to have brought down David Worrell. Tom Pope's been banging them in from everywhere this season, so the result of the spot kick was never really in doubt. Yeovil had knocked Vale out of the cup on their way to their date with Jose Mourinho in round 4, so this probably felt like a little bit of payback.
Propping up the EFL, and after losing 4 on the spin, Barnet badly need an upturn in their fortunes. But John Akinde's route to goal was blocked by Josh Yorworth, and Crawley keeper Glenn Morris tied it up. Harry Kewell has the Sussex club moving in the right direction. It took them 75 minutes to break Barnet's resistance. From Jordan Roberts' flick, Enzio Baldwin added a stylish finish to make it 4 goals in as many games. The visitors' goal survived another close call when Moussa Sano swivelled, but the 21-year-old is still waiting for his first league goal. Even so, Barnet headed back around the M25 empty-handed. Crawley sealed victory, their 3rd in a row, in the 86th minute. Lewis Young strode forward and teed up Baldwin for his 2nd of the afternoon.
So at the bottom of the table, Barnet stay rooted to the foot of the EFL. Chesterfield's big win over Luton means they move out of the relegation zone at the expense of Forest Green. At the top, Notts County have cut Luton's lead to 3 points. Exeter's win over Coventry sees them jump 3 places to 5th, while that defeat for the Sky Blues means that they drop from 3rd to 8th. There's just 5 points separating Accrington in 3rd and Colchester in 11th. That's it from us tonight on a weekend when the Steel City derby failed to deliver, but at least one derby did. Good night.